Let's turn our attention now to the coronavirus issue. Here's the Prime Minister.
So many other passengers who have been on the Diamond Princess and Yokohama. The National Security Committee of Cabinet has met again today, as we did over the weekend, to consider how we might be able to best support those Australians who have been caught up in this very difficult situation. We want to thank the Japanese government for all the great care and support and assistance that they've provided to those Australians who have been on board that vessel, and many of them, some of them quite elderly. And we want to thank them for that great care that they what we have agreed to do today is to take action to provide direct assistance to those who are on that vessel by providing for an assisted departure flight from Japan to Australia on this Wednesday. This flight will be made possible by Qantas, and we want to thank Qantas once again for answering the call of the Australian people, and for those who will be supporting that flight going up to Japan and bringing Australians home. We want to thank you very much for your great cooperation, and to Alan Joyce and the entire team at Qantas, we thank you very much for your tremendous support in assisting Australians and at this time of great need. You want to move that across? Okay. We are taking this action on the clear advice, once again, of our medical experts, in particular the Chief Medical Officer, Dr Brendan Murphy, who joins me again here today, along with the Foreign Minister and the Health Minister, but as well Professor Paul Armstrong. Professor Paul Armstrong is in Yokohama. He was sent there to assess the situation and to provide us advice in terms of decisions that we needed to make to provide this assisted departure back to Australia. At this stage, it is not clear how further cases of infection have occurred on board that vessel, and Dr Murphy will be able to take you through in more detail the situation on board that vessel. But because of the nature of the quarantine not being able to be assured, for those more than 200 Australians who will be returning to Australia, we are going to have to require a further 14-day quarantine period to be put in place on their return to Darwin, where they will be accommodated at the Howard Springs facility. Now, I understand that those who are on board will feel very frustrated about this, as will their family members. Indeed, I'm very frustrated about it. I wish it were not possible, but our first responsibility, as I'm sure all Australians would agree, is that we have to protect the health and safety of Australians here in Australia. And today, we have Australians who are leaving Christmas Island, having been part of that initial quarantine period of 14 days, returning back home, including returning back home here to Melbourne. I was at Box Hill today. With members of the Chinese Australian community, and they're looking forward to welcoming some of their family back here later this evening. It's frustrating and it's unfortunate, but it is absolutely necessary to ensure that we put the measures in place that have been so effective in containing the spread of this virus and ensuring that Australians here can go about their lives on a daily basis without any concern about the impact of this virus on their health. And this has been made possible by the strong and very clear and very early measures that the government took to protect Australians from the impact of this virus. So we greatly appreciate again the support and cooperation of the Japanese government, who have been working with to ensure that they are able to facilitate this assisted departure. I also need to make it very clear that the decision that has been taken by the National Security Committee, that any person who is on board that ship, regardless of their nationality, if they seek to enter Australia within the next 14 days, they won't be granted entry to Australia. And that arrangement will be also put in place with airlines as well. So we are making direct contact with all the passengers on board that ship now. We'll also be providing spaces on our flight to New Zealanders, and I've been in contact with Prime Minister Ardern, and they welcome that arrangement as well. New Zealand passengers will be transferred from Darwin back to their quarantine arrangements in New Zealand, and the balance of those passengers, who will be Australians and Australian residents, will be accommodated at the Howard Springs facility. So to those who are on board, we're with you. We're doing everything we can to support you. As you know, our consular support to you on board that vessel over the last 2 weeks, as you know, has been constant. We're very concerned concerned, obviously, for your welfare, and the best thing we can do to help you is to bring you home. And so we're going to bring you home, ensure that you're cared for on your return, and through that quarantine period, we want to get you home to your family and to your friends as quickly as we possibly can with the best care possible, and to ensure at the same time we preserve and maintain the strong mechanisms and arrangements we've put in place to protect the broader health of Australians in response to the coronavirus.